What up?
Yo, how's it going? Ready to record Sock Talk?
Yeah, you want anything to drink?
You got like seltzers? Like what flavors you got there?
All we actually have is cranberry.
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right. We are here with the news.
The news.
The news.
The news. Got a
And,
few trades.
Yeah, we'll talk some trades first.
Trades.
Which one was the first trade? Was it yours
or was it yours?
No, there was this one with Evan and James.
I'm scrolling up to get there.
Yeah, that's
there we go.
Here, I'll say it. Evan got Dalvin Cook, Gerald Everett, a 2024 fourth, a 2024 third. James got Elijah Mitchell, Kate Otten, 2024 third, and a 2025 fourth.
That was a trade. I think it is James getting younger. Dalvin Cook has a role with the Jets right now. Hasn't looked fantastic. I'll be the first guy to say it.
He has not.
But Gerald Everett, I think, is known to put up a few solid weeks in and out a little bit. And Kate Otten and Eli Mitchell are two guys that are kind of in smaller roles right now, but obviously have room to grow. And then they just kind of swap draft picks.
Yeah, Kate Otten did have a good week last week, put up 10 points and was targeted 6 times. So if he could kind of be a decent tight end there, I guess it makes sense for James and Evan. Yeah, you think Cook will produce Elijah Mitchell, who I think like week 1 played, or week 2 played no snaps. Obviously, we're watching this game now, and he's definitely getting snaps.
But he's still behind McCaffrey.
Still behind McCaffrey, and Everett had like 3 angry runs. Looked like Marshawn Lynch with the ball in his hands. He was like running people over, but again, ton of mouths to feed there. So I guess get younger. It's kind of a whatever trade.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the next one, and that is yours.
Yes.
So you want my thoughts on it first?
Yeah, let's hear your thoughts. Well, first, let's tell the people what it was.
Yeah, you got Nick Chubb after his knee
injury
was destroyed. And Calvin Austin. And Trevor got a 2024 second.
Which was his pick back.
His own pick back. So, I think it's interesting. It's tough because Chubb's already kind of on the older side, being 27. It's not like, oh, he's 23. He's definitely going to come back from it. There's no guarantee that he ever plays football again, which is definitely a worry. But obviously your team isn't competing this year. And if Chubb even misses next year, I don't know if you're going to be, or like the start of next year, I don't know if that's like super important to you. Where if end of next season, he's back at now like 29, but looks any form, even just 70% of what Nick Chubb was, he'll probably be worth that second at least back, or just getting you points in your lineup. I don't think his value is ever really going to be above a second again.
Yeah.
So that's tough. But I also do like Calvin Austin. I did have him last year. Then I cut him, and then Trevor picked him up. But he kind of has a role in Pittsburgh. He's like a really good speed guy. Wasn't used much on that Monday night, but week 1 he had 6 targets. Again, I don't think he's much of a player, but it's a young guy that kind of sweetens the deal a little bit more for you. So what was your thoughts?
So the thought process was, I got the trade offer from Trevor, and I believe it was, I have to go look at Trevor's team, because I forgot the player he originally offered me along with Nick Chubb for Cherry's second. And then it was a wide receiver on the Bills and he's on the IR. So initially I was like, probably not. I can't even see him because the sleeper website is not ideal for this. But
So it was on his IR.
yeah,
Naheem Hines,
no, it was a receiver. Might have been the practice squad.
Justin Shorter, Kenny McIntosh.
I think it might have been Justin Shorter. Actually, I could maybe go back and see with my transactions if that's. Man,
The sleeper website is good.
the sleeper website exists, but anyways, so I sent back. I said, hey, I know Nick Chubb's good, but I just watched his knee bend the wrong way last night.
Yeah, it was. We could touch on that injury a little bit. It was horrible, and
Yeah.
it sucks. He's one of the funnest players to watch.
And not one of the nicest too.
Yeah, there's been no scandals, really anything about him. He's just so good at football that, watching him run, he's been the best runner in the NFL for a few years now.
Yeah.
It sucks, especially because he already did it to his knee in Georgia. That injury was also horrible. I can't believe, and it was the same knee too. It is very disappointing.
My hope is that Calvin Austin has a little bit of upside, and not great.
How is that a person?
But the way I see it, it's like, hey, Nick Chubb could be a decent piece in the future. As my season's been going, it's not looking great. Am I gonna go full fire sale? Probably not, but it's definitely something to look into, considering that I'm having a hard time breaking 90.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's just a thing where I said, hey, I can get this draft pick instead of taking a guy that, presumably Trevor's would be late second, mid to late second. This is where I get a guy that, maybe just a backup for his whole career or, has a chance to be a good, or do I take a guy who I know is good, has a chance to come back and play again?
Yeah.
It was definitely next year around the trade deadline or around mid-season, maybe it's like, hey, Nick Chubb's coming back and I'm doing better.
Yeah, just with how bad his knee is, I think people are saying it's probably like a 15-month. They just flew down the stairs. Probably like a 15-month recovery, so he might not even be back till November of next season, where it's taking out 2 years. I don't know. It's tough. It's a sad injury. I would have felt more comfortable if it was a third and a fourth, but I don't know. I get the thought process. Could possibly work out for you, but I guess you just get a IR stash and then go on from there. It's also just hilarious to look at that and go back in your brain 1 week and imagine that trade.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense. Second for Chubb and throwing. Oh, what? That's not right. And now that's our sad reality.
Yeah. And then we do have a trade that you did, and you traded Brian Robinson in a 2025 third to Zach in exchange for Zach's 2026 first. My initial thoughts is actually over the weekend I was pondering seeing if you would give up Brian Robinson, and then I was too late, and that's my own fault. And I do like the future capital. I was a little surprised that you did trade him, because when I was going to ask you, I was like, well, Brian Robinson just had a really good week. Maybe I'm like, hey, this could be a guy for the future, especially after losing Saquon for a couple weeks with injury. But I do think that the 2026 first is appropriate value. I know that we always say, 2026 isn't even real right now, it's so far away. But a first is a first.
Yeah.
So I think that is, and you got him, I believe, at 212 in 2022, correct?
Yeah.
So you did
211.
211.
You were 212, and I think I drafted him, and you texted me and were like, "Screw you, man."
I probably said maybe substitute a word out there, but
Yeah, maybe.
but yeah. So you got more than the value back for him. I think it was a overall good deal. Zach needed a running back. He got one.
Yeah, obviously, he's doing really well to start the year. He looks like he has way more juice after last year. Granted, last year he was shot, so hard to have all the juice after a bullet in your leg.
Yeah.
But I do think he does look better, and he's getting, like, bell cow work. I saw something that, like, in his last 13 games started or whatever, he is basically getting, like, 15 to 25 touches a game, that's bell cow work for a running back. I just don't know if he's great. He kind of just seems fine. Isn't a huge passing, receiving guy. He does have 3 catches this year for about 50 yards, but it seems like they kind of want Gibson in the pass catching role, so it's more touchdown reliant. He's coming off a week where he had 2. He had 1 in week 1, so he is getting all the goal line carries too, which obviously will help lead to touchdowns, but I thought this was a good sell high opportunity to get out of there and grab a first for him, because if you told me this, like, I feel like in the off season, if I tried to trade him, I feel like if I offered him for like a second, people would have said no. So getting a first out of it, I think I got decent value. It just, again, another scary one. We talked about Swift last week, and you're like, man, that trade looks great for you, and then he ran for 175 yards. And
Yeah.
now that trade looks so bad. Like, not so bad, but bad. If he keeps getting 20 carries and a touchdown a game and is basically like a solid RB2 for the whole season, I'm going to be like, why did I do that? If he goes back to kind of what he was last year, maybe some only no touchdown, he gets like 6 points, 7 points, I won't be too upset. But, yeah, I sent this to Zach in the parking lot after practice last night. Then it was like 7 minutes later, and he just snap accepted it. And then whenever that happens, you always kind of get that bad feeling of like, was this a horrible trade? Like,
Yeah.
he accepted
that
fast.
With my trade with Trevor is I like sent him the counter offer, and I was at work, so I just didn't look at my phone for a second.
Well, I think sending a counter is very different, because then it's like,
But,
yeah,
like,
we're working
normally-
on something.
Normally with my trades, it's like, someone sends me something, I'll send something back, and they'll text me like, hey, you're a fucking idiot, or like, oh, we can work with this. But like, it was just like no communication, which is not a bad thing, just like an accept, and I was like, and then I sat there and Googled for 20 minutes, will Nick Chubb ever play football again?
Yeah, I think it's a little different with counters, where it's like I send one, or you send one to me, and then I send one back, and it gets accepted. It's like, oh, okay, we had a little discourse. When you're just blind, oh, hey, kind of like sending out a feeler, and we're like, yes. Then it's like, oh, you accepted a little. You didn't think about that at all? Like,
Hey,
you
whoa. Let's take it easy.
It was
there, bro.
that obvious. Made me
Yeah.
feel a little bit worried, but again, I thought about it a while, and I was like, oh, maybe I didn't need to have the third, and I could have just maybe it could have been a fourth, but then again, that just pulling hairs, like,
Yeah.
it's not the end of the world. If I was happy with the trade when I sent it, then I shouldn't overthink it, but Zach did have me in a
Snap
blender,
accept.
so that was good gamesmanship on Zach, really throwing me off, making me think I got hosed, but oh well. Yeah, so those were all the trades. Obviously, we talked about the Chubb injury.
Talked a little bit about Saquon.
Yeah,
He's out 3 weeks.
3 to 4 probably. They said it's like a high ankle. Was there any other big injuries?
I mean,
Like,
for
We said Diggs,
Diggs.
ACL, but that's not the receiver Diggs. So who
that was
cares
T
about
Diggs,
who
not
cares-
not S Diggs.
Yeah, who cares about defense? And then like a couple people like Devontae got a concussion. A few people still questionable.
Waddle's concussed.
Waddle's, yeah, but I don't think there was any other like ACL serious injuries for that. But now we're gonna ask you a few things about
Ask me a few things.
in the Sock League records for like everybody against each other. I've been adding some stuff. So who in the league do you think has played the most total games counting regular season and playoffs?
I feel like one that always comes up a lot in the playoffs is Griffin versus Trevor.
No, just what individual person's played the most sock league games?
Oh, soccer games that have mattered.
Yeah.
Probably Trevor. He's made the most championships, so he's got, I think there's 3 or 4 years where he's got 3 playoff games. I think that
It is Trevor he's played 78 games. So that's
and can we compare that to Evan, who hasn't made the playoffs? Sorry,
69,
it's not like horrible.
including the first 2 weeks of this season.
Yes.
So not the current week that's happening, but the first 2. I have a nice fun fact too. Ethan, in 49 games, has more wins than Matt in 71 games. So Ethan has more wins than Matt in 22 games, 22 less games.
Not great.
Who do you believe has the high? Matt obviously has the lowest win percentage, at basically 25%. Who do you think's at the highest? Again, regular season and playoffs.
Oh. See, because, I remember, looking at this, before last season, and it was still James.
On the Sock League app, that only counts regular season games.
Okay.
So I have regular season and playoff games that matter. None of the.
If it was just
eighth bowl or
regular
third
season,
place.
I'd probably still say it'd be James, because I think James started about 10-0 the first 2 seasons.
James is at 0.592 win percentage.
That's not that good.
That is, I believe, third.
And that is all time. So
Yeah. There's 2 that are really close.
is it again Trevor?
Trevor's actually in second with a 0.615.
So then my next logical guess would be, I mean, technically it could be Ethan, just because Ethan's played less games, so the wins mean more.
Ethan's under 500
Wow.
because he had that first year where he basically was 1-12 or whatever,
Yeah.
and then
So-
and even his championship runs were almost 500.
Let's go with Cherry. No?
Nope, he's 0.548.
Wow,
Less
I
than
suck at
James.
this. Is it Griffin?
It's Griff.
It's Griff. Okay.
Trevor's at a 0.615. Griffin's at 0.618. So they are right there. They're also 2 of the teams that are probably basically leading the race to 50 wins. Trevor's at 48 career wins. Griff is at 47. So they are vastly approaching 50 wins.
See, it feels like, just not long ago where it was hey, James was the first team to 20 wins.
Yeah, and now we're at 50, right at 50. Evan is the closest to 500. Who, not including Steve,
Okay.
not including Matt, and not including Ethan, so the 2 teams that have played that haven't had the full time, and Matt, because we know he's last, who do you think has the least amount of wins out of the remaining teams?
You're going to make me say it. It's me, isn't it?
It is not you.
Or do we count Nate and Tori or no?
No Nate and Tori.
Okay. So, I remember Cherry had a really bad 2018. I think he didn't win a game until week 12. But he's also had really good years, so I don't think it's that.
Not Cherry, he's above 500.
Okay.
You're at 35 wins.
I'm at 35 wins.
Yes.
The race to 50 continues.
You're at 35 and 37 all time.
I was 500 to start the year. Who has the least amount of wins, not including the,
Two News and Matt.
Is it Evan?
It is Evan.
Okay.
34 and 35.
Oh,
but
so
there's
just
one win.
one win.
There's also another team tied with him.
Who? Is it Zach?
It's Zach.
Because I was gonna say there was like the 2 years where Zach combined
Zach
for like
is
3 wins.
34 and 39. I thought that was very surprising that he's pretty low down there. And then a few other things that we could just touch on quick. Trevor, regular season and postseason point differential. He's positive 961.94 total points, almost 1,000 points positive. Very good. Griff's also up there. You want to know who's the most negative? It's Matt. Guess the number of point difference for Matt, regular season, postseason games.
I'm gonna go negative 1,500.
Negative 1,700. Yeah, it's not good. It's not been good to be Matt.
No. But hey, who knows? Maybe his turnaround is coming because
He's at 18 wins. 18
wait,
wins.
Matt hasn't gotten 20 wins yet.
Matt has still not gotten 20 wins.
Remember I remember you like tweeted something, and it was about like whenever Matt hits 20 wins, you're gonna tweet how many days it was since James was the first to 20 wins.
Yeah.
That's got to be at like 1,000 right now, right? It's been like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, it might be. I remember like talking with like Griff and Trevor about this, and I think they were saying they're like, yeah, Matt might not hit 20 wins till like, I think they said like 2025, and it's like, it's getting close.
It's getting close.
Matt does have a few wins this year, and I think he'll probably hit 20 this year, maybe.
Yeah.
Just needs 2 more wins, but
I'm gonna be pumped for that tweet.
yeah, man, it's been something. That was some fun news. We'll try to keep everybody updated with some of this.
As right now, Adam and I are the only ones with access to this spreadsheet.
But yeah, I'll try to, when interesting things happen, we'll bring it up and talk. And let's do some power rankings.
Right after the short 5-second break.
All right, we are here with power rankings. We're gonna start with 12, and that's you, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
So, what went wrong?
The easier question to answer is what went right. And that was going into Sunday with a 25-point lead. Those were good times.
Yeah, things didn't go great for you.
Nope, not at all, actually.
Thought you had a good shot with Rondale and Brees needing like 10.
Yep.
And then couldn't quite pull it off.
So because I'm a masochist and I love torturing myself, I went back and watched like game film from the Giants-Cardinals game and picked out like 7 plays where Rondale is just ass naked on the field, and Dobbs either gets like sacked, like on the 26-yard touchdown run, Rondale's like in the middle of the end zone just like this. And so my Josh Dobbs hate train just got fired up right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was rough for you.
Yeah, and then Brees Hall getting only fucking 4 carries.
Yeah. At least like Gabe Davis had a big week.
Gabe Davis did good. Zay Flowers did good. Tony bounced back a little bit.
I think you kind of have a type at receiver.
Let's hear it.
I think you like the small shifty guys. You got, because it's kind of Zay Flowers kind of feels like Kadarius Toney with limbs not falling apart. Rondale is also basically Rondale Zay Flowers also, and you've got all of them.
Yeah, I do.
So I think you might have a type, and it's kind of paying off with Zay, and also kind of not paying off with Rondale. So is that your type?
It is.
All right.
I'm starting to think I might need to switch things up.
Hey, my type is big and fast
And not good.
and not good. So, and sometimes not even fast. Debo looks like he just got hurt.
That's not ideal. I'll say it. Is he hurt? He is down, and they are circling him. That is not ideal.
So Debo's no longer coming home again.
No, I could trade for another injured guy.
You could do that.
Very well could.
Let's move on with 12. You were the
Please.
one we had the
Please.
least to talk about a little bit. At number 11 we have James.
And what a great pivot after the Debo injury.
Yeah, James has Debo. Debo had a good week last week. 22.1 points. London had a pretty good bounce back week 2 with 18, and Pickens had 22 for him. Rest of the team, not much. We could talk about this too, because you have one half and he has the other, with Madison and now Akers being teammates.
They're going to combine for at least like 6 points.
Madison hasn't been good so far this year. They have played some decent run defenses.
Yeah.
Akers obviously was healthied last game and is
I'm not even sure he knows why.
now traded for a 6th round pick swap in 3 years.
The Cam Akers saga, I hate going back to my team, but it was so weird because all offseason it's like, hey, Cam Akers with the 1s looks really good, Kyron's with the 2s. Week 1, it's like, okay, Kyron's out there a lot, what's going on? And then at 11:30 in the morning, it's like, oh yeah, Akers isn't playing today, he's healthied. I didn't even find out from an NFL person. It was Cam Akers tweeting why am I a healthy scratch? I was like, not even he knows.
Yeah. But yeah, James did have a better week point wise than he did in the first one. He broke 100 this week. If those receivers keep it up, you gotta hope Dameon Pierce somehow figures it out, and maybe Madison plays a little better if he's still the starter with Akers there, and then maybe James could grab some wins, but hasn't looked great for him so far this season.
No.
Number 10, we've got Jasmus.
Fall from grace.
If you're Jasmus, do you think it's time to panic?
Listen, I am not a fan of panicking and resetting stuff after 2 games because there's a lot of factors into it. One, you had some tough matchups for your players. Things didn't go right. Some guys got hurt. Zay Jones didn't catch 6 targets. And there's all these factors.
No Cup.
No Cup.
He had no Eckler.
Yep. So that there's 2 of your best guys gone there. I don't think there are many teams in this league where you could say they're their 2 best guys. Oh yeah, they're still gonna have a great week. You can maybe argue that Trevor and Ethan and maybe Griffin.
Zach.
The 3 teams, but there's 12 of us.
That was 4.
4 teams. There's 12 of us.
Yeah, but if you think you're gonna have a shot at playoffs or something, you're gonna have to run up into those teams. And also, how many teams, if they're missing 2 players, are putting up in the 70s? I think.
I mean, to be fair, I put up 70s with my entire team, so.
Yeah, but you're not one of those teams.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know if you need to panic against yet, but he does have another tough matchup this week with Zach. Could start 0-3 possibly. You're there. I think also this is the first year that there was actually a very strong difference in divisions.
Yeah.
Other years it's been like, yeah, this one's probably better than this one, or like, yeah, this team could have made the playoffs here, but it's like if you switch schedules, it's maybe not that bad. I think this is the first year where it's like, oh yeah, man, these are the good teams, and these are the bad teams. So there are gonna have to be teams to make the playoffs out of our division. So I guess you could theoretically bounce back from this. But the only thing is, still at that point, are you competitive if you make the playoffs?
Like, we could honestly, with your division, have like 4 teams that don't want to make the playoffs, but like one of them
One has
has to. Where it's like, man, I don't want to do this, and then for some reason that'll be the team that will like run it in all the way to the championship.
Yeah, but I think that's also the fear. Like, yeah, Jasmus could theoretically for sure still make the playoffs. Um,
At least my thought process right now between like the 4 or 5 teams that division is somebody's waiting for someone to blink first, like make a win now trade or a sell now trade before they decide what they're doing. I think you guys are still in a standoff right now, like who's going to be the first guy to like either blow it up or make a big move.
yeah, maybe, but the fear here is Eckler's good and Cup's good, but they're also getting old. Where right now it's like, yeah, maybe you'd probably still be able to get a first for one of those guys to like a competitive team.
Yeah.
Next year, is that still the story? If Eckler's on a new team, Cup, if Puka Nakua steals his job, same thing with like Najee. Najee's looked very bad to start the year. It's like, could this whole thing, if you don't sell, really blow up in your face? And next year, it's like you have the same team, but they're not as good, and now they're not worth anything. And if you're starting 0-3, is it time to think about selling, or do you just go, screw it? I'm gonna try to make the playoffs because I think I can in this bad division. Hope I get hot in the playoffs and deal with the repercussions later. That's, I think, the two options, and I think it's a kind of tough decision to go with.
Yeah. Who do we got next?
Next at 9, we have Matt. Matt beat Jasmus this week
He did.
to the tune of 107 points. James Cook had a very good week, 17 carries, 123 yards, plus 4 catches for 36. He did this with a Mooney 0, too. Garrett Wilson really only had one big play, didn't do much else. Matt, it's still not a good team, but he's having some, like, I think Laporta's looked good, like a player that you could start. Shaheed has looked good, like a player that you could put into your lineup.
Yeah.
Debo's alive and has caught a touchdown.
Now I got to trade for him. Damn it.
Tutu's looked well so far, but again, what'll happen when Cup comes back? It's very kind of up, like he still doesn't really have the superstar talent, but his team is definitely better than previous years.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you think right now the odds are that Matt could make the playoffs?
They're higher than any number that I would say. I'll say that. I would put it right now 30%.
30% for Matt to make the playoffs.
30%. But, like, again, one of you guys makes a certain move, it could be like 50 or 60.
That is, I think that's, I don't know
That,
if I'd
that
go
would,
as
that
high
would
as
give
30.
Matt, I think that would give Matt more playoff appearances than me.
I think he might,
Has he made the playoffs twice?
maybe only this once.
Okay, well,
I'm not sure.
I'm still rechasing my 2018 glory.
But, yeah. And then at 8, I've got Steve. Steve is 2-0.
2-0. Not bad.
2-0 is the best you can be. I thought Richardson played great. He played 30% of snaps and still put up 17 points.
Yeah.
He was knocked out in, like, late first quarter and already had 2 rushing touchdowns at that point. And if that's the ceiling, man, like, could be a great fantasy QB. Christian Kirk had the big bounce back week, put up 21.
I think, and James can attest to this, it was like at like start of the fourth quarter and Kirk only had like like a couple catches for a couple yards. And then every time I was watching the game, just like a little dump to Kirk, was screen to Kirk. And I audibly said in the middle of the casino, can we fuck off with this Christian Kirk shit?
Yeah, Gus Edwards scored a touchdown too. He might have somewhat of a role, and with Knox kind of being banged up a little bit, will Kincaid's role even grow? I ask you now the same question. What are the odds Steve makes the playoffs?
I'm going to say right now it's lower than Matt, but not that much lower. I would say like 22%.
I think the thing is, already having the 2 wins against, like, 2 of the better teams in the preseason power rankings, well, not against them, but you're up 2 wins against Jasmus and James right now. So they need to win 2 and you could lose 2. Granted, that could be the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But you do have that advantage so far, and it's crazy to think about, but, like, it's such a short season. It's 14 regular season games, so, like, this is 7th of the way through.
Imagine being involved in a playoff race, man. Like, I remember that, like, 4 years ago.
Yeah. Coming in at 7, I've got Evan. Evan, disagree?
No. Maybe. I don't know.
All right. But he had a solid week. Put up 120 points. Just did not get the win against me. I think Gibbs is going to step into a little bit of a bigger role, especially with the Montgomery injury. Waddle got concussed, so didn't have everything there. Devonta Smith looked great. Mike Williams had a good week. But again, the main thing here, it's kind of banged up already. Not the best health track record for some of these guys, and not the best bench. Probably will need kind of like, if Miles Sanders is out, another RB, or else you just have Gibbs and Michael Carter, or
Robert Woods is pretty good.
well, he's not a running back.
Oh.
Yeah, it gets slim.
Isaiah Spiller did a thing.
A thing, one singular thing, and
I
that
never
was
said
one
I never said it was
carry.
a good thing. I just said it was a thing.
So I just think that's kind of the fear there. Bye weeks too.
Yeah.
What's gonna kind of
Is it
end up happening?
crazy to say that Matt has a better chance in the playoffs than Evan? Like that.
That's
like
the.
I hate saying that. I hate saying that.
Evan's definitely gonna love this too, because he's been a huge fan of the divisions.
Oh, we got to fight.
And he loves the divisions the way they are. He's been the biggest proponent for absolutely keeping the divisions the same way after all these years. So you saying that, I'm sure, is bringing a smile to his face as he hears this. At the 6th spot, I have myself. I had a very solid week.
You did.
150. Saquon had a huge week. Ramondre looked pretty good. Addison's continued to play well. Zach Moss had a huge week, and then just things went pretty well. I did trade Brian Robinson, and Saquon did get hurt, so that definitely hurts my RB room.
I think that was what I was debating between you and Evan. Like, I know you just won, but
yeah, I gave it to myself because I won
yeah,
the immediate head-to-head. So, but I think I still have options if Zach Moss gets like every carry for the Colts until Taylor gets back, and then hopefully around that time Saquon's starting to come back. Still have 2 running backs, plus like Jaylen Warren has looked good with Najee looking bad.
Oh, now that we're on your team, how happy was Ashley for Pierre's first career touchdown?
She was very excited. She couldn't believe it.
On his 2 carries for 1 yard
she's
and 1
very
touchdown.
upset that Kareem Hunt has signed there, trying to steal Pierre's role.
Pierre's 2 carry 1 yard roll.
Yeah. But I don't think my team is. Tajay Spears, even on the taxi, he might have to get promoted soon, putting up like 7 points and getting decent time with Derrick Henry still playing. And then Marvin Mims was an absolute freak. He played like 5 snaps and had 2 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown, 20 points.
It's like Randy Moss on Thanksgiving.
Maybe we play him a little bit more. Russ is only good at throwing the deep ball now. Maybe they get him in and he could be something.
You forgot his 2 carries for 10 yards.
He did have 2 carries. He also had that. He has something like his yards per route run is at like 9 this season. So every time he runs a route, he gets 9 yards on that. Like, pretty good to me.
That's
pretty good to
pretty
me.
good.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Again, my team's that middle of the road, but in my division, I have a shot at the playoffs.
I think you might even
I have a good shot at the playoffs.
like a 45 to 50 if you just stop selling your good players.
I'm addicted to trading players.
You're addicted to getting first, then draft.
I
like
love
middle
playing
of the
Madden in this, where you just always trade back for firsts, and
Yeah.
then it's like, man, I could be sick one day, and then that day never happens because you trade all those players for younger firsts.
And then you draft Jalen Reagor and Terrace Marshall.
Yep, that's how it's done. And you trade them, and then you trade for more firsts.
It's a foolproof plan.
Number 5, I have Trevor. In the same vein as Jasmus, are we worried at all about Trevor?
No.
I don't really think there's a lot of concern. He still put up 142 points, which was
Yeah.
one of the highest,
It was like,
fourth.
like third or
highest.
fourth, yeah.
I think there's some question marks. Yeah, you have, like, if Kyron and Puka are legit, this team, I think, looks now really good. If they're not, no Chubb now for the rest of
Ever.
because he's on a different team. Yeah. What's the whole Jonathan Taylor situation going to be? Is he going to play? Daniel Jones pick. Kind of what's going on there.
Can't wait for the he has no receivers narrative.
But, like,
to go
will Ford-
crazy.
Will Ford actually be good? Still a very good team, but in the absolute opposite vein of what we were just talking about, this division is good.
Yeah, except for one team. We're not going to name them, but they're not that.
Yeah, definitely not gonna.
Yeah, no, definitely not going to point anyone out here.
Not gonna point anyone out.
But it's not great.
But where it's like,
All right,
there's
proposal real quick. Mid-season swap, Ethan for me.
that would be funny. That would be a good laugh.
Good laugh.
But it's the same thing talking about like Jasmus or whatever. You're 0-2. There's 3 teams in your division that are 2-0 ahead of you. And a team 1-1 ahead of you. All maybe Cherry not exactly trying to win, but we'll talk about that soon. And then all these other teams trying to win, so you're behind. And it's like, if this is going to be a division of a bunch of teams that are 9-5, 10-4, 8-6, fighting for the playoffs, already having those 2 losses, it's basically forcing you to be like, I guess I'm going 9-3 for the rest of the year.
We have seen Trevor dangle Tyreek Hill around a little bit this week.
Yeah.
Maybe looking for that immediate future help.
Yeah. I still think his team's very good and will probably still be there in the playoffs. We've seen him start slow before and do exactly what I said, win like 9 straight and be fine. But I wonder how things over at Trevor's HQ are going, if there's any concern in the building over there.
According to the Sleepers website, Trevor still has a chance to win.
You can never rule him out.
Never. I even have a chance to win.
Number 4, I do have Cherry, who we just brought up for a second. Cherry's 2-0. I don't think he expected or maybe even wanted to be here. I feel like Cherry was like, I got another year of rebuilding, and then I could come back with a very good team. But his team is just winning games. It's as simple as that so far.
Even with a down week from Calvin Ridley.
Down week
down week.
Down week from Calvin. Gallup in the second flex only put up 1.3. but Sky Moore had a week somehow on the bench. Like, is he gonna be good now? Who knows? But Rashad White as a bell cow. Marquise Brown's gonna get targets because who else is there? Bijan's Bijan. Kenneth Walker's holding his job well. Do you think Cherry should make a trade? Maybe buy someone to shore up his flex spot, because even like Nico's looking good now, and he does have 2 firsts this year, his and James, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 2025. So do you think maybe he goes, oh, my winning window kind of opened up, kind of like what we saw with Zach that year. Team wasn't necessarily stacked, but he said, I'm going to go add CMC to this team and try to compete. Didn't win the championship, but I think it got him to the play. Or I think CMC got hurt, so it didn't.
This is a very backhanded way for you telling Cherry to trade for Saquon.
I don't know if I'd trade Saquon. But I'm not even necessarily talking about me. I don't even know if I'd trade Saquon, but it's just having those picks. I guess you could say the same thing about my team too, though. I could trade my picks to go get someone, but I just wonder if you go get that running back to push you over the top, that extra receiver that I think Griff talked about, Godwin. Does he go get Godwin again back from Griff, who we gave to him last year, and be like, oh, this helps my wide receiver 3 spot or something? Or does he just go, I just got lucky to start the year, probably not going to make the playoffs anyway, and just ride it out with his team and add to it next year with picks?
He very well could. Again, having those first 2 wins is a good advantage on this league. He did beat Ethan, so it's not like he's played 2 scrubs where it's like, he did play me.
Yeah, but it still means like, oh, you're going to have Steve on the schedule, going to have James on the schedule, going to have some of these lower teams.
Have Matt. Have
some
me
of these
again.
Lower, you play him twice?
Yeah. Because he finished 6th, I finished 5th.
Yeah, so going to have him again. So that could be like an easy 5 more wins. Now you're already at 7. You just stay competitive, win another 2 games against like Evan and me, or get one against Trevor, whoever. Like, you proved you could be Ethan, so could win. It's like that could end up in the playoffs for you. It's interesting to think about, and I wonder if he's going to hold back, or if he's going to buy, or if he's going to wait 3 weeks. Probably kind of what my brain is. I'm going to wait 3 more weeks, kind of see what happens, and then maybe make a trade. At number 3, I do have Ethan, who he just beat.
Yes.
But I still trust Ethan a lot. Really like his team. I think he's got to be at the highest playoff percentage if we're looking right now, probably in the
99.7%.
Yeah, a lot of things would have to go wrong for him to not get there.
It would pretty much have to be like the Jaguars team plane crashes.
Yeah, I think the only concern here is Chase and the Bengals. They've looked really bad. Burrows look bad.
Is now my time to get Chase for a second.
Chase is only at 17 points on the year.
This is my time to get Jamar Chase for a second.
Probably won't get that done, but maybe. I'm sure you could send that to him and have a good, healthy, immediate decline.
Hey, man, you just got to throw it out there. Sometimes it gets the ball rolling.
True. But I like, obviously still like Ethan's team. Think he'll be fine, make the playoffs.
They put Tyrod in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's the Giants. But yeah.
How'd the Cardinals lose to this team?
Well, the Cardinals want the first pick.
That's right. They probably got a nice pep talk saying, hey, guys, y'all see those Caleb Williams highlights?
We showed we're good. Now let's go get the first overall pick.
Yeah. And what about the Bears?
Number 2, I have Griff. Griff, 2-0.
Griff at 2. Interesting.
Has looked very strong in both of these weeks. Pollard looked great. Swift, touched upon briefly. 175 yards, touchdown, 27 points. Definitely don't miss him at all. Who would want that guy?
Yeah.
Jefferson's. Amon-Ra still put up 14 while kind of being banged up for the week. Ayuk got hurt, but he still managed to put up 150 points and pull out the win. He said it again, has depth this year. Tank Dell put up 20 on the bench. Like Jake Ferguson, 10 points on the bench. Devonta Parker's getting 8 targets a game. Chuba looks pretty good there in Carolina. Raheem Mostert went crazy. Like Elijah Moore still did okay-ish. He's got a lot of depth, and I think this team is sitting in a very good spot right now. Just will it be able to hold on? And I think it has a better chance to hold on this year because of that extra depth to survive those late season bye weeks that I think in years he'd start hot and then kind of taper off and then not get the bye, like get the first place seed in his division or fall out of the playoffs just because he didn't always have that depth.
Yeah, I mean, this could wrap up to be a run to be the first ever 2-time Sock League champion. And I kind of hate saying that. More than I hate saying that Matt has a better chance to make the playoffs than Ethan. Or Evan. Evan. It's been a long fucking day.
And number 1, I have Zach, who would also trying to be the first 2-time champ. And he'd do it in repeat fashion. He had the best week of all last week. He has the most points scored on the year this year. And just added Brian Robinson to get more depth. He lost Montgomery to an injury probably for like 3 weeks and immediately added Brian Robinson from May. Could kind of fit in and do the same thing. Gives him good depth. Mike Evans, I was concerned about for sure going into this year with Baker. Baker looks good. Mike Evans looks really good. Going well there. CD in a not 40-0 blowout game. Got targets. Looked really good there. Probably more from you. What you can expect. Joe Mixon will probably get a bunch of carries with Burrow out. McCaffrey's McCaffrey. And Zach's team just looks very good.
Yeah.
He wanted number 2 in the power rankings. Congrats, Zach. You're getting number 1.
The committee decided, and when I say committee, I mean him. That was power rankings. I don't think there's much I can add to Zach's team.
Yeah.
We're reaching the territory of it's good.
Yeah, it is good.
I was actually going to look how much Zach is up 38 points on Jasmus right now on Thursday between the 22 from McCaffrey, 16 from Kittle. So that's not bad.
Not
bad at all.
At all.
Kind of spoiled it that we did record matchup previews before power rankings so that we didn't have this where it's like, oh, well, I think Zach's going to win. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can watch what we just recorded right now. All right, we are back with matchup previews. Big exciting week. Adam, tell us how we did.
We both went 2-1 last week to put us at 4-2 on the year, but again, we're going on points. I did have the big Matt upset pick.
You did. That was a great call.
Got me 6.3 points most of the year so far on one game. But I only finished with 10.3. You did outdo me with 10.9 to put you at an even 20 points. I'm at 18.8.
All right, well, you know, there's a lot of time for you to catch up.
Yeah.
Long season, unfortunately. But let's just hop right into the first pick. And Adam, who are you?
First,
going
I'm going to talk about some stuff that happened last week.
No, you can't do this to me.
Well, this is just like you know how we got the stats. I've been doing more, so I've got some more stuff. Matt, he snapped a 4-game losing streak against Jasmus.
There you go.
Good for him. Griff got revenge over Trevor after his playoff loss last year. Zach, first time ever with a positive point differential against James. 2 games ago, he was at, I think, negative 111. And then 2 blowouts later, he's finally positive at like 2 points.
Well, there we go.
I got my first non-week 6 win versus Evan, so that's always exciting. Guess I can win on another week. And I'm wondering if there's a Ryan and Steve rivalry brewing. You've played 3 games. They've all been close against each other. I wonder if this is going to turn into a little rivalry. I also think it is interesting that if we look at you, you've played 3 games versus Steve in a year and 2 weeks, and you've only played 3 games versus Ethan in about 3 years.
That is kind of wild. That will change this week,
Yes.
as we'll soon go over.
But you do have Steve twice this year.
I do. Yeah,
So
this is my second year having Steve twice.
Yeah, so I think I see a little rivalry English brewing between you two. Any thoughts on that? Is there any animosity?
I don't think there's animosity. I'm still kind of in my depression from Sunday. It wasn't fun, especially because I was like at a casino, like watching the games and like I just need like 9 points from Brees Hall and Rondale Moore, and they got me like 3.
Yeah, that was Rocky's opening a cabinet.
As one might.
Yeah, fun week. Just wanted to get that out there. Now we'll get into the picks. With my first pick, a lot of these games, first saying, they kind of look like blowouts, like one team a lot of favorited.
Yeah.
So I'm going to actually go with the only close game there is, and that's Cherry versus James.
All right.
And I'm going to take Cherry for, I believe, 5.1 points.
Yes, I believe Cherry was
49%. I think they're both really close. What are your thoughts on that matchup? How would you have gone in this close one?
I probably would have agreed with Cherry, and if I had the first pick, I think I wrote down somewhere, it might be on the notes of my phone, which is right there, so, that doesn't really help me. But I think I did say, like, hey, there are some guys on James's team, like, I'm not going to lie, I don't think Alexander Madison gets 11.8 points. He's been struggling. They just brought in Cam Akers. Damian Pierce has kind of been, like, the one bad spot in the offense for Houston. I feel like Stroud's and the receivers have been doing well. And Pierce just kind of coasting out there.
I think there's a few. Obviously, today we found out that Travion Diggs just tore his ACL, and then so the Cardinals going up against the Cowboys. Maybe that makes things a little easier for Marquise Brown. Same thing. Derek Stingley, who's been having a good year for Houston, went on IR this week, so I'm expecting Jacksonville to kind of get things right after the kind of ugly Chiefs game, and I think Calvin Ridley could have a really big week. But I do think this will be very close. I do like Debo with no Ayuk, probably going to get a few more targets, a few more looks there. And also James has dominated Cherry so far. Cherry's worst point differential, he only has 2 negative point differentials, and the one with James is more than 100 points less than any of his other ones. So James has had Cherry's number in the past, and really the only one to have his number.
Yeah.
So
I think that is a good pick. Like I said, I would have done that as well.
What are you going
But
with?
who knows? My next matchup, I am now realizing that because Thursday Night Football is on right now, all the percentages might have changed.
I have the picture before.
Okay, let me see one. I know I screenshotted them. We're gonna go with the bounce back week from. No, I'm actually not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. We're going to take... I'm just going to go for the points here. We're going to take the Gladiators over the War Eagles. Reason for my pick...
Your team.
Boy, my team is rough. Can I guarantee that Brees Hall gets more than 4 carries this week? Absolutely not. I keep hearing Roshan Johnson's getting his number called. Man, that offense is bad. and they're playing Kansas City. I don't think they're running the ball that much. I'm not going to lie. Zay Flowers has looked good. When you look over at Ethan's team and you're like, man, there is not a single player that Ryan has that is better than anyone on Ethan's roster, except for maybe Jalen Hurts. Maybe. So, am I preying on my own downfall? At this point, might as well. I know it's week 2 and it could be an overreaction, but hasn't looked strong. Maybe Christian Watson plays. Maybe Ken Gainwell's the RB1 again. Who knows?
Yeah. Ethan did get upset last week. I'd call it an upset with Cherry taking him down. And I do think he's going to have a big bounce back. Again, Jacksonville. I just talked about the Jacksonville versus Houston matchup. We're getting... he has Trevor Lawrence and ETN going there. They haven't had a good run defense, so I think ETN could be in a good week. And I think Lawrence, again, trying to kind of set that record straight, that off to a kind of a slow start of the year for him. I think he could have a explosion week. I would have also gone with Ethan.
Yeah, it's the perfect time. And I don't know if I said it, but this would be to win 3.2 points. But a lot of these matchups are blowouts.
Yeah. Your past history against Ethan started off with a really close game. Then it was a blowout. Then it was another really close game. And I'm assuming this one's going to be
the
blowout fashion again.
Yeah, seems like we're following the trend here. I'm scrolling
that way.
There. Yeah. So I haven't beat Ethan since 2020. I think I played him his first week as a manager.
No, he started in 2019.
Oh, well then I didn't play him. Well, I guess we're gonna have to just see. It's probably gonna be a blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great. So, Adam, who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Zach. Zach's 2-0. He is very good.
Yeah, that.
I think this is like maybe the most points left on the board if you're picking a favorite, where I would get 4 points. All the other ones are even higher percentage, so unless you're picking an upset, if you're picking a favorite, this is the best points I could get. Same thing I kind of talked about when I touched on James' team with Debo. He has McCaffrey and Kittle, so I think they could both be in for pretty big weeks. And it's still like Eckler's still questionable. Amari was questionable last week. Did end up playing. Najee hasn't looked good. I'm just got a lot of questions about Jasmus's team. And then, fun fact here too. Jasmus is 4-2 against Zach.
He is. I am seeing that, but
doesn't have the point differential.
No.
So Zach has won big twice. Jasmus has won more, but I think Zach gets that record a little bit closer to 3-4.
Yeah, I would also have picked Zach in this scenario. Not been the redemption season for Jasmus as we once thought.
Yeah, no.
A lot of things haven't gone right, but it's still early in the year. Maybe you can turn it around. I can't, but maybe you can. I guess for point value next, I'm going to go and take Evan over Steve. My reason being is that Evan is a guy that's put up a good amount of points. Decent bit. He's cracked 100, I think, both weeks. And Steve has not, despite the fact he's 2-0.
This would be for 3.5.
3.5?
Yeah.
Look at that. The screenshot saved me a 0.1. Or lost me 0.1. Damn it. But yeah. I think that Steve has...
You think Steve's run is over?
I do think so. I'm not saying this to be an asshole to Steve, and the rivalry rumors are brewing, as we know. But A.J. Dillon didn't look fantastic on Sunday. Jerick McKinnon we don't know what's going on with him, but he's there. Christian Kirk did look better. If Christian Watson comes back, how does that affect Dobbs? Also, I think Jaden Reed was the big receiver for the Packers on Sunday. Tyler Boyd, just he exists. He did some stuff, man. He did 6 for 52. It's not bad.
Yeah, I think the only question here, I also would have gone with Evan. I think the big question is he's got a lot of questionables again. Miles
Yeah.
Sanders, questionable. Waddle, concussion protocol. Devonta Smith, he popped up questionable. Like, and Hopkins is, again, not practicing. I think at least 3 of the 4 of them play, but you never know. It's always sketchy when you have so many questionables. Are they going to randomly be limited? There's been a few times last year we saw with T. Higgins where it's like, oh, limited, yeah, he's going to play, and then he would play 1 snap, and that would be it, and you're like,
Yeah.
why did this happen? So you never know what's going to happen with all the questionables, but I do agree that Evan's going to pull this one out.
And also, I think that, even if one of them doesn't play, Robert Woods, Ethan's probably best bench piece, maybe outside Zach Ertz, he's been having a solid year.
Yeah. And then they are 1-1 all time. They had the great game last year with Steve with a 0.12 point victory, week 4 of last year. So almost 1 year to the game. Will it happen again to Evan?
We're not sure.
I don't think so. I think Evan pulls this one out, and by more than 1 point at least. But who knows? They could be in for another all-time matchup.
It could be yet another mid-off.
And then my last pick, I'm going to go with... I think I'm going to take Griff to beat me.
That would be for 3
point.
Let's double check the screenshots.
The screenshots we go. 3.6 points.
3.6. So yeah, that one didn't change, but for some reason I get gypped out of it. 0.1.
But yes, I'm taking Griff to beat me. Griff, also, just like Zach, has looked dominant to start the year. His team is very good. I think he tweeted out this week he has depth for the first time. So even with an Ayuk injury, not playing tonight, I think he's going to be fine to kind of overcome that with who he's filling in his flex spots. Right now it's Tank Dell, who he predicted the first touchdown last week for Tank Dell. And Tank Dell proceededly put up 20 points too. So looked very good out there. Griff's got a great team. My team is kind of questionable. Zach Moss had a huge week for me last week, but now he's going up against Baltimore. That's not the same as going up against Houston. I need more to go right to pull out this win, so I'm going to go with Griff. But if we look at the history, I believe I'm on a 3-game win streak against Griff with a point differential of just about 100. And then I'm also 6-2 against Griff. This will be our 9th meeting, which is the most I've played someone. This 9 times against Griff will be the most for me. And I think I am, for Griff, his worst point differential and worst record.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, I think I just edged out Cherry with one extra
Loss
and a few more points.
Yep.
So I've had Griff's number in the past, but I think it's time he kind of gets his revenge on me, snaps this losing streak, and I probably take the L here.
Yeah, I was actually debating taking you. Looking at some of it, I was like, okay, Chargers defense doesn't look great. Maybe Addison pops off.
Yeah, but then Jefferson won't.
Fair enough.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, the safe pick is Griffin. If I wanted to be a little ballsy, I probably would have said
I think I could keep it close, and I think I have a chance to win, but I don't know. I think it's going to be rough. That was a fun play. And then you get
Matt versus Trevor.
Are you going to call another Matt upset?
I can't, man. I can't. Trevor's looked too good. I'll take my 2.9 points. Might be the lowest that we've had.
Yeah.
As we did this. But Lamar versus Indianapolis, Indy's defense, despite how well the offense played last week, they haven't looked fantastic. Pittsburgh might be a tougher one for Josh Jacobs, but I do like Kai running in Cincinnati. He's been on a tear. Now that Akers is gone, it's his backfield.
Yeah.
Tyreek versus Denver, so we're going to get Tyreek versus Pat Surtain. And Puka Nacua has just been going off.
Yeah. Trevor finally got both of them in his lineup this week, Puka and Kyron. It'll only be right if they both do horrible.
Yeah. And then for Matt's side, Rashid Shaheed seems to be gets like one decent catch a game. Yeah. I saw an analysis the Saints offense. It's it was just really bad except for one or two big plays. So.
Yeah. Jets, Garrett Wilson versus New England. New England they've won 14 straight versus the Jets, so I think with Zach Wilson back there, it's going to be a little bit rough again.
Just run the ball. Run the football.
They should. But yeah, I think Trevor wins this easily. And that is because this is the worst point differential in the league. Trevor has won 6 straight matchups to the tune of a 349.92 point differential. Matt hasn't broken 100 points versus Trevor since their second matchup back in 2019.
That was 4 years ago.
Do we think that happened? Do we think... The bigger question is, does Matt break 100 points versus Trevor?
I could see it. I don't think it's a guarantee. He's projected for 95. He needs a lot to go right. That includes Tutu Atwell.
He's been decent so far.
He has been decent. He's had 17 and 15. It's not terrible. KJ Osborne, I think, is a little touchdown dependent. Same with Sam Laporta. Tyler Algier is on a very run-heavy team, but did not do as well as he did week 1.
Yeah, didn't find the end zone.
Seems like it's Bijan's team.
Yeah. But I think this is a week for me to possibly make up some ground. You obviously have a lot of the safe picks where you'll probably hit. But if I hit 2, I'm going to gain some points on you.
Yeah.
So we'll see how this kind of sets up next week.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode, guys. And to see if you actually watched the whole thing, if you're in the group chat, comment the turkey leg emoji. And we'll see if you actually did it. Have a great week, guys.